Good evening, everybody. Welcome to DFS, no punt intended, right here on DSM Media. We are brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming needs. Make sure you check them out, manscaped.com. Promo code DFS at checkout. Get you 20% off and free shipping. Holidays are right around the corners. Every day I do a show. We're one day closer to that holiday season. Get the men in your life or yourself the grooming needs and tools and gear that you need and that they want. And not only will they be happy, but so will you, because as I always say, it's nighttime, so I can say it. Your balls will thank you. Again, promo code DFS at checkout, manscaped.com. I am Phil Stiefel. I'm joined by my man Hunter here. Jason will be in, maybe not, at some point in the show. He's got, unfortunately, a son that's not feeling too well. Jax, we're thinking of you. Justin Thomas isn't playing golf this week. So that must be why you're not feeling well, Jax. So hopefully you get better, buddy. And yeah, we wish you well. So maybe we'll see Jason later, maybe not. I got his lineup for the lineup build just in case, preset in front of me here. Hunter, what's up, buddy?
Hey, not too much, man. Yeah, let's give a shout out to Jason, and yeah, we hope Jax feels better for sure. Thanks for having me on. I think it's nice to distract me from the kind of crappy day of golf that I was
I'm actually having a really great day in golf today.
Yeah,
I got a lot of Duffner this week, and I think he finished in 4th place. So my Jason Duffner, my Duff man, is carrying my lineups right now.
Nice, that's awesome. My pool looks like Russell Henley at the top, and then I have 2 of the guys at dead fucking last with HB3 and Pendrith. So
man, that's not the way you want it. But you know what? For golf, golf season for the show Fairway to Heaven, we'll be back soon, and it's right around the corner. But the great thing about fantasy golf versus fantasy football, fantasy golf is a roller coaster. You might have the worst lineup on Thursday, and it might cash or win you something, on Sunday. On the flip side of it, you might have a first place lineup on Thursday. It means absolutely nothing come Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's up and down. Whereas DFS football, it's just a one day. It's an 8-hour run, and that's it.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's funny. I know people that like the long sweat of golf and people who hate it. So I guess it's really just kind of up to your preference for just the style.
Whether you like 4 days of stress or 8 hours of stress, that's pretty much. Although I talked with Jason a lot last year, that I started to find a lot of success in just the single round slates. So you just have the 1 day sweat in golf as well. But that's golf. We'll worry about golf later. Let's get into football. Before we get into this week's slate, I want to ask you some general fantasy football questions, because today 2 big pieces of news dropped today that are going to affect fantasy football across the board, and that's Cam Newton going back to the Panthers and OBJ signing with the Los Angeles Rams. Take your choice on which one you want to start with, but the question is, what do those signings do to each individual team and the players on the team? Cam Newton with Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, and so on. OBJ with the wide receivers there in the Rams locker room. So what are your thoughts there?
So you saying from a fantasy perspective, or just
just a fantasy perspective? I'm not worried about the actual team's success. I'm just saying, like, Cam Newton, will it hurt or help McCaffrey or DJ Moore or Robbie Anderson, who's basically ghosted fantasy football players this year? Is it helping them or hurting them?
That's a good question, and also a tough one. I'd have to say, just based off of how bad the Panthers are, I'd have to say that, Cam would help them more than Odell's going to help the Rams, just overall, especially from a fantasy perspective. I think, it's clear that Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods are totally fine without OBJ, but clearly it makes them a better team overall. I guess we could argue that, but I don't know. This was such a shock today. I think it was today, right? The Cam Newton
both happened today. Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a shock to me. I kind of forgot that he was looking for a team. I guess I wasn't expecting a reunion with the Panthers, but yeah, I think we'll definitely have to hit on McCaffrey a little bit just from a DFS perspective. But I'd have to say the Panthers, just again because the Rams don't need much help and the Panthers are sliding pretty bad right now. So what are your thoughts on either of them?
Well, first off, Cam, I think the Panthers help Cam more than Cam helps the Panthers. Obviously, Sam Darnold, I said it before the season started. If he was an average quarterback this year compared to what he was with the Jets, he was going to help them. And, they started out 3-0. DJ Moore had a great start fantasy-wise to the season. So did Christian McCaffrey. Then obviously they hit a roadblock. Christian McCaffrey went down. I look back to last year with the Patriots and the beginning of this year, and Cam Newton just, to me, seemed like he didn't have anything left in the tank.
Yeah.
But DJ Moore, there's no player like DJ Moore on the Patriots. There's no player like Christian McCaffrey on the Patriots. So, I think that, you said it might hurt maybe Christian McCaffrey. Maybe some of those little dump-off screens that Christian McCaffrey gets might turn into Cam Newton runs. So I'm thinking maybe not majorly. I'm not talking about dropping him massively in value, but it might hurt him a smidge. I think, Cam Newton, is he a better passer than Sam Darnold? I mean, Sam Darnold's pretty bad, but Cam Newton's not the greatest passer either. So I really think it's just, it's just going to be like pretty even. Not much is going to change. You're going to have a better leader. You're going to have a proven winner. So team aspect, it might be better. But fantasy-wise, I think it doesn't hurt or help pretty much anything in Carolina. And then with the Rams, OBJ is going to be the third or fourth wide receiver there. He's basically going to be stealing Van Jefferson's targets, or at least some of them. He's not going to take them away from Kupp. He probably won't take much away from Robert Woods. So was Van Jefferson ever in any of your daily fantasy lineups, really?
Yeah, no.
No. So does it really hurt fantasy-wise? I don't think so. I just think maybe, Van Jefferson occasionally was on my radar as a value play. Now he won't ever be on he won't be on my value play list anymore, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm with you too. I think he'll take all of Van Jefferson's, and then they released Deshaun Jackson a week ago now too. So I guess both of those. You say it. It'll be interesting. I mean, clearly OBJ's never had this level of receivers around him to take away some of that, the defensive coverage, I guess, that he likely gets every single game. So it'll be interesting. I guess I haven't really followed or watched the Browns too much, especially OBJ specifically. So it's not like he's been great this year. I know he was with Baker before. So yeah, that's part of it too.
He's been banged up pretty much now for 2 straight seasons. So I don't like to get into the whole OBJ's a locker room cancer type theory, but just on a purely playing field thing, he hasn't been healthy since 2019. So, he's trending downward. So he's not the star or leader, at least at this moment, that he is. Hopefully he gets healthy. Maybe he shows off a little bit. I kind of look at it as OBJ is hoping that Stafford and having Kupp, like you said, drawing the double teams, maybe eventually makes him put up some good highlights so he gets another big payday next year. But I just don't see either big name. Who would have ever thought Cam Newton and OBJ changing teams would make zero impact in fantasy, in my opinion?
Yeah, I agree. And you said something at the top, the Panthers signing Cam's probably, it's good for Cam more than it is for the Panthers. I think the same can be said for OBJ.
Absolutely.
I don't think he was really in a great spot there in Cleveland. And I do think I can't see how this would be negative for him, really, I guess.
Yeah.
Unless he's just a complete, negative impact on the locker room. But
the only thing I'm going to say, last year, another cancer signed midseason with a team that already had multiple great wide receivers. And we're talking about Antonio Brown. Signed with the Buccaneers. They already had Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. They already had Gronkowski, Tom Brady. And what happened there? Antonio Brown instantly inserted himself and just made them even better and still put up half-decent fantasy numbers, even with 2 other stud wide receivers there. And he was also that locker room cancer, whatever it is. And now look at him. I mean, he's hurt this week and last couple of weeks. But for the most part, Antonio Brown's turned his career back around and back the trajectory's going back up. So maybe OBJ can do that. I'm not holding my breath on that, but maybe he can.
Yeah, no, I think you bring up a great, point to compare it to. Matt Stafford isn't no Tom Brady, of course, but it is.
But he's never had the Cooper Cups in the. He was in Detroit. Maybe he could have been a Tom Brady type or close to it if he had some talent in Detroit there.
Yeah, that's true. It'll be interesting to see. I definitely like it more than him in Cleveland. So
luckily, it's not affecting any of fantasy lineups this week. I don't have to worry about it really till next week. But I'm sure we'll dive into it next week. So let's get into this
Yeah.
week's game, slate of games.
Yep.
This week, there's a lot of interesting and intriguing games. The top projected point games are the Falcons versus the Cowboys at 54.5 points, Vikings at the Chargers, 53 points, Bucks Washington, 51. Then you got a couple in the upper 40s with Seattle, Green Bay, Jags, Colts, Bills, Jets. You get to go first. What game are you intrigued in looking at stacking and really making as a core build for your lineups this week?
Yeah, you listed off three really great games to target. I think those are my favorite three, obviously, with them being the highest total. But I think my favorite's going to be the Chargers and the Vikings. It just gives you a lot of options to just pick from, I guess, which it can be tough, of course. We'll talk about that here in a second. But I do like the Chargers side, especially in the passing game. Herbert's just been chucking the ball a bunch every single game, over 30
Against
attempts.
the Eagles.
Exactly.
I think he's
and yeah,
still completing passes against the Eagles right now.
yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, they haven't been playing great recently in the Chargers, so I think it's even though they won last week, I'm still going for that bounce back type of games, I guess. I do like Herbert a lot. If I'm gonna, like I said, the tough part of choosing these kind of games with a lot of good options. Like I said, we got Mike Williams, we got Keenan Allen, Eckler, of course, as well. You could also pick between Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson, or even Thielen on the other side. The toughest part is trying to get those right, especially like yourself and me, of course. We like to play single entry or three entry max. It's really hard to slim it down to, one or two guys to make a stack here. So if I had to pick one, anytime I have those kind of decisions, I just like to go with the guy who's I think is going to be underlooked. So
Okay.
definitely is going to be Mike Williams for me for
Okay.
Herbert, and I also like running that back with Dalvin Cook. As far as I know, I think he's going to be playing. If
Oh,
not, I
shit.
really like Otherwise, I really like Justin Jefferson too. Otherwise, it's definitely going to be the Chargers passing game for me.
Okay, so here's my question, because it wasn't one of my main stacks, and the reason was just because you said, who do you go with? Allen, Williams. There's too many question marks there in my mind. So the way I was looking at this game, and it's something I don't do, and I was talking with Jason earlier today about it. He's like, he never does it. But because of the defenses, because Eckler can catch the ball out of the backfield, would you consider playing Eckler and Cook with Justin Herbert? I know it's pricey, but Eckler, he gets the passes out of the backfield, so you get that. The Vikings have the 23rd ranked rush defense, so Dalvin Cook could carry the offensive load, at least at some point, as long as it stays close for the Vikings. He's now into his third game back from injury, so he's getting a little bit back into the groove of things. I wrote down Herbert with Eckler, Cook, and then also coming back with Conklin as the tight end for Minnesota, because he gets a really large amount of targets right now, and the Chargers don't stop tight ends. I saw it last week with Dallas Goedert, and he seems to be the leading tight end now in Minnesota. And still, even throwing a cheap tight end like Conklin in there still only leaves you with $4,700 to build the rest of your team. But thoughts on going with both running backs from the same game, and a quarterback, which is a really, really not typical thing to do when building lineups.
Yeah, right. So playing the same quarterback and the same running back on the same team normally doesn't correlate well, in the long run, of course. But when you have a guy like Eckler, like you said, who catches the ball a lot out of the backfield, he could get two, receiving touchdowns and completely work with Herbert in that kind of stack. So, like I said, it is kind of a tough decision. I just really like Mike Williams. I think he's in a smash spot. He was a top 5 wide receiver earlier this season, and then he got kind of banged up with his knee. He had the bye week to rest up. He hasn't had a great couple of weeks since then, but he's also played pretty good defenses. I don't know what you think about the Eagles, I guess.
Well, the one thing we do is shut down wide receivers for the most part. So, he was held in fair check considering the situation, that the Chargers were in and the Eagles were in last week.
Yep, and then they played the Patriots the week before that, and for some reason, Bill Belichick just has Justin Herbert as one of his sons. But I like Mike Williams quite a bit. I think he's going to really be low owned. And I like Justin Jefferson a lot too. He's having a great year. He's priced around a couple of the chalkier options, I think, with Devontae Adams. We'll see where Brown gets to. But Yeah, I do like running it back with Jefferson too. I just think he's having
Okay.
such a great season. So a little more
And that's the thing.
expensive stack,
The
but
Chargers against the wide receivers, they're the second toughest defense. But the Chargers are missing a lot of cornerbacks right now. You saw,
yeah.
a game against the Eagles. I think they're missing their top two cornerbacks right now. So, the numbers are skewed a little bit there. So they might be a great defense against wide receivers, but maybe not this week.
hmm Yeah, I'm with you. And like you said, it's a really high point total.
Mhm.
Chargers are favored by 3.5 at home, I think. But I really think the Vikings could come away with this one. And
Okay.
if they get up, a couple scores early, I really think Herbert's going to have to chuck that ball a lot. So that'll
Okay.
probably be my favorite.
All right. All right. Let me get to my favorite then, because this
Yep.
is one that I think is going to be super chalky. I think a lot of people are going to play this one, and that's the Colts versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I think Carson Wentz, who's been trending upwards for sure this year, he started off a little choppy at the beginning of the year, but for the most part, he's had 20. So 4 of the last 5 games, he's had 20 or more fantasy points. He's not turning the ball over outside against Tennessee. The 2 turnovers there. Outside of that, he's not turning the ball over. Jacksonville is just straight terrible on defense. I think they are ranked. No, they're ranked the 3rd worst defense this week. So I'm looking at Carson Wentz. I don't think you can go if you're putting even 5 to 10 lineups together. At least half your lineups have to have Taylor Jackson or the Colts as running back, because I mean he's just a beast. He's on fire. There's a reason why he's all the way up to 8,100 on DraftKings. And you still got to play Michael Pittman, because for as great as he's been the past 4 or 5 weeks and trending upwards, he's still only 6,300. So, I'm starting my lineup with Wentz, Taylor, and Pittman. And then I'm coming back because still the Colts don't stop wide receivers or the quarterbacks of the opposing team very well either. Instead of going Marvin Jones, I'm dropping down to Shenault, Jacksonville's second wide receiver. And that's because at worst, he's averaging 4 targets a game. And that's at worst. There's games he's got 10 targets, 7 targets, multiple 7-target and 10-target games. So even though he's 4,600, he's still a guy that Trevor Lawrence looks for and finds often. And he's also got no touchdowns this year. And the one thing I've always preached last year and this year is that you have to try to find guys at the cheap price that do score 2, 3, 4 touchdowns a season that haven't scored yet. Because someone like Shenault is not going to go the entire season without scoring a touchdown. Will it be this week? I don't know. But the odds say eventually he will. And if you like that game and you want to run it back, I'm going Shenault. What do you think? What's up,
I
Ref
think
the
you bring up
District?
great points.
We can't wait to run it back at Eagles Washington again when we get to the later in the season.
Yeah, big shout out. Great points. First off, I think you bring up a good point. You got to find the guys that haven't found the end zone that normally do, or at least are getting the targets and the receptions each game that gives them the opportunity, to find the end zone eventually. So yeah, great point there. Otherwise, I think you brought up a couple of great options here in this game that I really like. Jonathan Taylor, like you said, he's hit 100 yards rushing or receiving in his last 6 games, which gets that nice DK bonus. And he gets 30 plus multiple times throughout that period. So he can easily take over a slate where you have to have him in your lineup to even think about cashing. So he's probably going to be pretty chalky because of how hot he's been recently. I think you could get a little contrarian and bigger, in bigger contests by going with Wentz, like what you said, and looking at Pittman too. I really like Dan Arnold a lot on the Jacksonville side. He looks like he's probably going to be the chalk tight end of the week. He had 7 targets last week. He's becoming one of Lawrence's favorite targets as well. And I think Agnew's becoming a pretty, more of a favorite target for Lawrence too. So it's kind of funny how the entire receiving corp has kind of changed throughout the season for Jacksonville. So
no, I had Agnew. He was on my value plays last week as well, and I had him in a couple different lineups that I wasn't playing Jacksonville also. So yeah, Agnew is another one that's definitely a good play for value.
Yeah, yep. No, I like this game quite a bit. I think it could be a sneaky one.
Yeah,
I would definitely
absolutely.
take the over.
But again, on the flip side, you just have to nail who you're playing from this game, because a lot of fantasy players are going to be playing this game, whether it's stacking it or filling in the rest of their lineup around the stack. With some of these guys like Agnew or Taylor or whoever. But I still think, and this is something we talked about a few weeks ago. I don't think you were on the show, but as Jason's been trying to preach the play in the smaller fields, that sometimes ownership percentage is you don't need to take it as seriously in the smaller fields. I'm not saying you can't take it into account at all, but when you're going up against 100 players, 20% is not as big of a deal as if it was 20% in a 200,000 person field. Maybe in these smaller fields we're playing, the Wentz, Taylor, Pittman, some combo there. It's not as bad as it looks.
Yeah, I agree with you. And those smaller fields, like you said, I don't really even think of ownership too much. If they're the best plays, they're going to get you a bunch of points. And like you said, in the smaller fields, you're really just looking for points, in my opinion, more times than not. So, which makes
sense.
All
right, second favorite game this week.
Second favorite game. Let me scroll up a little bit here. I do like Falcons-Cowboys quite a bit. I think that's the highest total the last time I checked.
Yes. When I did my work this morning, it was 54.5 points was the over-under on it.
Okay. Yeah. Cowboys favored by 9.5, I believe.
Yep.
Quite a few options here. Again, I think you need to decide on how you think the game's going to go. Again, the Cowboys are favored by 9.5, but I really think the Falcons could keep this close, at least cover. And I don't know. I for some reason, I feel all right about the Falcons. They're kind of hot after starting out 0-3. So, couple of options here. You could start off with Matt Ryan. I think if you're playing Matt Ryan, you got to either play Patterson with him or Kyle Pitts, and you're done after that because the receivers are guys I didn't really know a whole lot about before the last couple of seasons before diving into DFS. So Kyle Pitts is just a smash spot here. I love going with Matt Ryan and Kyle Pitts. Need to monitor Zeke's just the news overall. It seems like he's playing, but if news comes out that he's getting, a smaller amount of carries, I do like Tony Pollard quite a bit. There are a lot of great value running backs, so kind of keep an eye on that. Otherwise, I don't mind going back to Dak. It's kind of funny. I've played Dak 2 times this year in DFS, and both times are the times that he's gone under 10 points. I looked at his game log. And there's 2 single-digit entries, and those are the 2 times I played him this year. So,
that's the worst thing to have. That's just brutal.
Yeah, that's DFS to a T, I think. So, thinking about it last week, like the Broncos defense is pretty solid, especially compared to this Falcons team. And it probably makes a little more sense that they didn't have a great game last week. So I wouldn't mind going with Dak. I really like CeeDee Lamb, of course. He's probably Dak's favorite target. And then it seems like Michael Gallup's coming back this week at 4,000. So I really wouldn't mind throwing Michael Gallup in there as well because Dak loves hooking up with him. So what are your thoughts on this game?
Well, the first thing that I have to talk about, and I talk about it pretty much now, it's becoming a regular trend for me, is Cordell Patterson. He's just a slam dunk play every week. If you're going up against a good run defense that gives up passing yards, I mean, the guy, here are his targets in the last 5 weeks: 6'5", 5'9", 6. So he gets the ball out. He gets the ball, from the quarterback all the time. Some weeks like last week against New Orleans, he only had 10 rushing yards, but he had 6 catches for 126 yards. So he's either going to have a big game running, or he's going to have a big game passing. And at 6,600, something I haven't even said yet, I think this is the week where you pay up at running back. There's not too many. I only wrote down 3.5, actually almost 2 and 2.5 value plays at running back. So I couldn't find many good value plays at running back. I found 7 value wide receivers I liked. So you got to play the Ecklers, the Cooks this week, those kind of running backs. And the Patterson, I think he's underpriced at 6,600. I think you could easily, I would value him still pretty high, even if he was at 7K or 7,100 this week. He's that valuable to the team. Matt Ryan loves throwing to him. He's his little security blanket and safety valve. And he's turned into a half-decent running back as well. So Patterson is a slam dunk play almost every single week for me, depending on how the prices work out and stuff like that. And this week is no different for me. So whenever I look at the Falcons, the first thing my eyes go to, how's Patterson going to do against this defense?
Yeah, I'm with you. It's, again, one of those that we're kind of just waiting for the one game where Patterson's going to go back to being Patterson, I guess. Yeah. But they literally have no one else, to really catch the ball here. So I mean, they have guys, but not guys that I would trust, of course. So
Right.
yeah, Patterson, or Cupcakes, I think both of
I
them
don't, I
would
don't
be
know
in
how his
play.
ownership percentage is going to be. People are going to look at it that the Cowboys are the 10th ranked rush defense, and maybe they shy away from him. So I'm hoping maybe his ownership percentage goes down a tick just because of that. From the
Yeah.
people that don't pay attention to the more theory behind it all, and maybe
Mhm.
instead of being 15% owned, he's 10% owned. I'm just making up those numbers, but I love Patterson. I think he's a must play every week in a certain percent of your lineups. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm with you. And he's right around a couple of guys that I think are going to be kind of chalk. One being James Conner after his
Mhm.
just explosion last week. And
He is.
then,
I'm fading him 110% this week.
yeah, I mean, it's tough. I wish I knew for sure if Kyler was playing or not, but it seems like he's going to be a no-go.
But what's
Nothing.
the other guy? The other running back has already been ruled out for Arizona, I believe.
Edmonds, right?
Edmonds, yeah, he's already been ruled out. So it's the Connor show. Um, I just I don't trust James Conner to be able to handle a big workload multiple weeks. And I mean, he's a
Fair.
10, 12, 14 point guy, in my opinion. And he just burst out last week with those 40 points. He's not going to come anywhere near that, but people are still going to play him. And I'm staying 110% away from him.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, not too high on him either. What are your thoughts on Fournette then? I think he'll be another kind of popular
Well,
choice in the
that's
range.
one of the games I wanted to talk about. It wasn't like one of the ones I wanted to talk
Yeah.
a lot about, but I'm not sure. I like the Tampa Bay game as a stack or some kind of a weird mini stack. And Fournette, I just don't trust anybody, even Fournette, on Tampa Bay out of the running backs. You just really, I mean,
Yeah.
you look at it. Yeah, he's had 30 points. He's had 7 points. He's had 21 points. He's had 6 points. You just really don't know week to week what Bruce Arians' game plan is going to be, whether it's going to be a running game, a passing game, whatever. But the one thing you always know out of that game is that Tom Brady's going to throw the ball and Tom Brady's going to put up consistent points. There's a reason he's averaging 27 points a game in fantasy. So
Yeah.
I rather go with Tom Brady and his wide receivers, and then come back with somebody like J.D. McKissick on Washington's end. Antonio Gibson's still
Okay.
banged up. His percentage of snaps on the field because of his injury are going down and down. And McKissick gets those passes out of the backfield as well. And he's only 5,200. So the way I looked at this game was you play McKissick from Washington's side, and then you go Brady, and then you go Mike Evans, because you got to remember Chris Godwin's questionable. Antonio Brown is questionable, almost doubtful. One of those two won't play. There's a chance both of them don't play. So that means Mike Evans' target share way through the roof. And my value play of the week in this game is Tyler Johnson. Last week, with Antonio Brown out, with Chris Godwin playing very minimally, he got 6 targets and got 5 catches for 65 yards. If he even duplicates that, that's 11.5 points in fantasy. It's $3,300 salary. That pays off 110%. So if you go
Yeah.
Brady, McKissick, Mike Evans, and you throw Johnson in there, it still leaves you with 5,400, which is when you're playing Tom Brady and Mike Evans
Yeah.
and you still have 5,400 left. I personally love that play versus going with Fournette in there.
Yeah. When you put the salary out there too, without a cheap tight end or a cheap defense in there too, that looks really appealing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Are
that a
you a
lot.
fan of then Fournette then? The way because you brought him up, I wasn't sure.
No, I was just comparing Patterson to two guys
Oh,
that
okay,
I
gotcha.
think could be popular. I'm not for sure, but not too much on either of those guys. I'd rather prefer Patterson. But
Yeah.
you brought up that game there. I do. It seems like Tom Brady. At least the Bucs stack's going to be one of the chalkier stacks this week,
Yep.
which makes sense. I mean, they're paying off almost every week so far. Definitely going to be some injury news to monitor. Like you said, I think Antonio
Mhm.
Brown is out. We'll have to monitor Godwin. Like you said, I
The thing
think
with
that'd be
Godwin is I do tend to trust ESPN's like redraft leagues, and I have Godwin in my redraft league, and they still have a 19-point projection this week. If he was
okay.
trending out, that number would have gone down, and if he was most likely going to be out, like I look at it with the Christian McCaffrey, he almost came back a couple times, and they had him at 2 points those weeks. Last week
Okay.
he was questionable, but they had him projected at 19 right up until Sunday, so I knew there was a really strong chance that he was playing. And so
Yeah.
they still got Godwin at like 18 or 19 points, which means he most likely will play. But with the injuries, even if he plays, I still like the Johnson play as a value play there. Again, 3,300. All he's got to do is have 5 or 6 catches, or all he's got to do is catch 1 touchdown, and he just paid off his value. And that's the thing. There's a lot. You got to pay up a lot with Patterson, Eckler, these running backs this week. All you got to do, especially in smaller fields, is find that one guy that no one else is playing that scores 10 or 12 points that sets you apart from the rest of the field.
Yep. Yeah, well said. I was going to ask you too. Do you have any interest in McLaurin? Running it back with him instead of McKissick. A lot more expensive, of course.
Yeah, McLaurin is obviously much more expensive, and he's one of my 5 favorite wide receivers in the league. Yeah. Absolutely. I don't know. I just don't trust Washington's offense enough. I don't trust Heineke enough to really be a slam dunk play. If you want to play him in 1 or 2 of 20 lineups, I'm absolutely okay with that. But let me bring up McLaurin's season long numbers here.
The last trends are ugly.
Yeah, his trends are very. There's a stretch where he had 13 or 14 targets 3 out of 4 weeks, but then he's gone 8, 12, 7. So it's up, it's down, it's up, it's down with him. So that just shows inconsistency with the offense, not his talent personally, just the offense. And they played some teams. Kansas City always gives up a lot of points. And he still only had 4 catches. Green Bay, you could shoot out against Green Bay. He had 7 catches for 122 yards. Next week against Denver, only 3 catches for 23 yards. So he's very, very inconsistent, and it's all because of the quarterback play there. So, is he a slam dunk play? No, but he's definitely a viable play if you want to play him, in my opinion.
Yeah, probably going to be very under-owned too, I would assume. Good run back option.
Which gives him more value.
But no, I'm not touting him by any means. You brought up who are your favorite value running backs? You brought up you found a couple of them. I'd like to
hold on. Let me click on a couple games here so I can kind of trim it down a little bit on my screen here. The first running back, that I really like a lot this week, that's a value play in my opinion. It's a guy I hate all season long. But both of my top value running backs are question marks because of their handcuffs. I love Zach Moss, but he's extremely questionable this week. Going up against the Jets, the worst rush defense. So if Zach Moss doesn't play, I think Devin Singletary at 4,700 is an absolute must play in fantasy. Problem is, he's going to be, even at 47, he may be a little chalky, but I still think at 4,700, if Moss doesn't play, I think you got to at least look his way. What do you think there?
Yep. That's one of my guys on my list here. He should be in line for a lot of touches for hopefully a bounce back game for Buffalo. Absolutely. If you're playing that stack there. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
And then the other one, it comes down to whether Nick Chubb plays or not. He hasn't cleared COVID protocols, but there's a chance he can test and be cleared by then. And if he doesn't clear, obviously, Ernest Johnson is a must play as well. He's only 47 as well. The Browns love to run the ball, and when he filled in for Chubb a couple weeks ago, he had a monster game. So it's another guy that, again, my top 2 running back values there are both questionable whether they're plays depending on what their opponent. This is a week where you almost don't want to have your lineup set till Sunday morning, till you see those injury reports, that Schefter and crew put out at 11:30, 12 o'clock. It's almost like you got to wait till the last second to build your lineups.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's going to be a major injury week. A couple of, like I said, you said both of them, Johnson and Singletary, are almost must plays if the injury news goes their way. I don't mind Brandon Bolden too. I'll just say his name out there. One to just monitor with injuries with Damian Harris and Stevenson. But I think we'll have to make a decision. The problem with running back is there's a couple of really great options at the top of the board this week. Would you be against playing both Johnson and Singletary and then being able to really, spend up at wide receiver? Or
absolutely, I'm not against it at all. If you can tell me that both guys are going to be the main guys and the other two, their counterparts are both out, I would absolutely put a lineup together with Singletary and Johnson in it. Absolutely, no doubt about it. I got 2 more running back values I want to get your thoughts on. One guy in Green Bay, A.J. Dillon, still only 4,800. He is not a slam dunk to score double-digit points. He's not.
Yeah.
But that's because he hasn't had a touchdown. He had a receiving touchdown in week 5, and that is it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you watch his trends, he's getting a lot of carries regularly. Last game against Kansas City, 8 carries, 4 catches out of the backfield. Week before, 16 carries. The week before that, he had 5 touches. Week before that, 11. He's definitely getting the ball. Green Bay still has a lot of issues on offense. I think this is a week that A.J. Dillon could get his touchdown. He's going to touch the ball 10 to 15 times. If he does, what are your thoughts on A.J. Dillon?
Yeah, no, I think we had this similar conversation last time, and I said, I don't know why we don't use Aaron Jones more. But
yeah, I think we did talk about this. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, like, and then you look, I pulled up his game log while you're saying that, and he's getting great. I watched the whole, let me go on a rant here quick. First off, I watched the whole Chiefs game last week. Watched the whole Chiefs game last
Packers
week.
Rant time.
I'll keep it short. First off, that would have been just a complete waxing if Aaron Rodgers was playing, because the Chiefs, I mean, they just do not look good, and Jordan Love is not that guy right now. I've never seen a quarterback just more unprepared to handle the blitz like he was. So it was his first game. I'm not trying to judge him too much there. But back to A.J. Dillon, he played really well. He really was the majority of their offense in that Chiefs game. I played a bunch of Aaron Jones, and he kind of busted. I think Dillon almost had more points, if I'm correct there. So it's just tough. I don't know what.
My next value play here. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, you're good. I just don't know why LaFleur doesn't, or I don't know. It's just not very consistent. So go ahead.
No. So I mean, I feel bad because I'm a huge Aaron Jones fan. Love him. I've had him in redraft leagues for years. I love his talent, but something's just going on with LaFleur up there that I just don't get in the usage. There should be no reason for us to have an A.J. Dillon conversation week in and week out for DraftKings. There just shouldn't be, because you got Aaron Jones. But he's in the conversation for some reason every single week. And again, the fact that he's only got 1 touchdown, none rushing the ball this year, says he's going to get one. So is this the week? I don't know. I mean, they're playing a bad enough defense that this could be the week that he gets one.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the touches are there. If you take away the one game where he said he had 5 there, it's been, close to double digits the last few weeks. So
absolutely,
I like that quite a bit. So you said you had another value play, right?
Yeah, it's like a super like bold. I don't know what's telling me to play it because the trends are not there. But so I don't have it written down, but I read it on another site. The percentage of snaps played are there, and this is also another one that comes down to injuries. Okay, if Mike Evans is the only starting wide receiver there, if Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin both are out, Giovanni Bernard, running back for Tampa Bay at 4,300, because of his pass catching ability, week 3, he caught 9 passes out of the backfield for Tampa Bay. Okay. He's normally catching 2-3 passes a game. He's got 3 touchdowns on the year. So he does score in his very limited amount of playing. He does get touchdowns. And if even Chris Godwin is a semi-playable player this week, then Bernard's out. But if both wide receivers are 100% out, what are your thoughts on Giovanni Bernard? Because Tom Brady's going to have to throw the ball to somebody. If you're not going to like the Johnson play at wide receiver, maybe Bernard gets some looks out of the backfield. Because I know you brought up Fournette. But Fournette, he's improved out of the backfield as a pass catcher. But Bernard, that's his bread and butter.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I don't mind Bernard at all. I think it'll be one of those things where I go through my almost like a flow chart on Sunday where I'm like, is Zach Moss playing?
Yeah,
if yes,
basically
then,
what you gotta do.
If yes, then move on to the next guy. If is Nick Chubb playing? If yes, then move on. I'd probably put, Bernard kind of at the bottom of that flow chart there because I like Johnson and Singletary so much more. But like you said, if the other guys are out, like you said, Brady's got to throw the ball to somebody, and Burnett's, he's going to split the target or the carries with him a little bit too, so he could get there at that price for sure.
Okay, all right. I want to ask you about value wide receivers because we've pretty much already talked on all mine. We talked about Johnson from Tampa Bay, Chenault, talked about Agnew already. We touched on Pascal a little bit in Indy. I only have one other value wide receiver, and that's People Jones. Now that OBJ is 100% gone and out of the picture, His targets have already been going up, and he's only 4,800 this week for Cleveland. He's a consideration for me. But do you have any other value plays at wide receiver that you're looking at?
Yeah, I think Peoples Jones is great. I think I mentioned Michael Gallup in my Dallas
Oh,
stack.
you did mention Gallup. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
And you're not worried about the fact that he hasn't played yet this year?
Obviously, I'm worried about that. I guess it'd be something to monitor. Yeah, of course I'm worried about it. If he plays and if he's fine, I mean, he's one of Dak's favorite. I mean, he only has so many targets, but he just connects with Dak so often, and he's cheap. So it just really works with my stack I was thinking about at least. So.
Hey, as long as it works with your
We'll see.
stack, that's all that matters. All
Yeah,
right.
right.
I want to go over one more stack with you, okay?
Yep.
And it's another super bold, comes down to injuries and stuff like that. And I love value stacks because, again, then it gives me the opportunity to play Dalvin Cook. It gives me the opportunity to play, Austin Eckler and guys like that and really put some really big name guys in your lineup. And I'm stalling as I try to bring it up on my screen here. And I'm having trouble doing that. There it is. In the Cleveland-New England game, okay, going with Mac Jones. Cleveland doesn't stop the pass great. 15th against quarterbacks. They're 23rd against wide receivers. So if you go with a Mac Jones and a Myers to start with, Jacoby Myers, I know he had a bad game last week against Carolina. But outside of that, I mean, he's a fairly consistent player for a $4,800 priced guy. Go with those two guys. Throw in a Hunter Henry, who's becoming a favorite of Mac Jones. Come back with Johnson if Nick Chubb doesn't play. So Jones, Johnson, Myers, Henry, if Nick Chubb doesn't play, leaves you over $6,200. And that's you still got to throw your cheap defense in there and stuff like that. That gives you could take 3 smash top tier guys with that lineup now.
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
No, I don't think so at all. Mac Jones is really coming into form, for a rookie at least this season. And the Browns defense has kind of been shaky as well. I think you could really, throw Dearness Johnson in there too. If we find out that the injury news goes his way too. So I think that's
I had him in there. Sorry. He was part of it.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Yeah,
I came back with him. So, but only if Chubb doesn't play. Then if Chubb plays, I don't like the stack at all because then it hurts the value and, it's not a value stack then.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. And it also you only have one running back in there too, right?
Yeah, it's just the Cleveland running back. I've got Jones, Myers, and Hunter Henry as my tight end.
Yeah, I like that a lot. There's so many good running back options this week with Najee Harris, Dalvin Cook, of course, Taylor. So, I like that. That's the value stack, I think. So, that's a good one.
All right. Let's get to building some lineups here. All right.
Yeah,
Jason's not here yet. I'm going to bring up the screen here. I'm not even going to put it up on the screen, Jason's. I'm just gonna read it off. I gotta open my phone up here. What the heck's happening to my phone here? Oh my goodness gracious! Oh come on now. I had why won't my phone rotate now? Sorry, I had the YouTube link up on my phone, and now I can't get it off. All right, here we go.
Sound like me with my tech issues all the time.
Yeah, dude, I'm not a tech guy. Should have seen last night's show. I butchered it because I messed up the audio on it. It's okay. It's what happens when you do live shows. Yeah. All right, so he's going, and this is a stack that wasn't on my board. He is stacking the Green Bay Seattle game in his lineup, okay? So he's going Russell Wilson. He's going DK Metcalf. He's coming back with Devontae Adams. And I think that's all he has from that game. So, he's going Russell Wilson, Devontae Adams, and DK Metcalf as his top 3 guys and his top game. So the whole game as a whole, his whole lineup, he's got Russell Wilson, his running backs, he's got DeAndre Swift and Mark Ingram, who's now back in New Orleans. That's a really value play that we haven't really talked about at 4,500. Then his wide receivers are Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, and guess who his other wide receiver is? Someone you've talked about a lot tonight, Michael Gallup. He's got Michael Gallup in his lineup. He's got Pittsburgh's tight end, Freiermuth, as his tight end, and then his flex is Keenan Allen. He's got Jacksonville's defense, which is going to be great when I build my lineup. So that's his lineup right there. I think it's actually a pretty strong lineup in certain spots.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the Mark Ingram play personally. I don't think he's, a strong play there. And I don't think Jacksonville's defense is the right move there. I think there's better cheap defenses available. But for the thought overall, what do you think about Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, and Devontae Adams as your building block of a lineup?
I like that. I think that's going to be the sneaky game that gets overlooked that actually has a pretty high total because
It's got the fourth
both
highest total at
quarterbacks.
this point.
It does now. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I guess I just haven't heard about it a lot myself, I guess. Just because both quarterbacks are kind of, their
Banged
status
up.
is up in the air, even though it seems
Yeah.
like both will play. I'm personally terrified about what DK Metcalf is going to do to our Packers secondary. That's a little banged up, so we'll see.
I just can't believe he'd want to put that game in there having so many question marks. You know what I mean? Yeah, even if Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers play, how's Russell Wilson's hand really going to feel? Even if he gets it banged up once or twice, and we see it in so many sports now. When you come back from having COVID, your endurance level, your respiratory system is just not 100%. You might clear the protocols and be cleared to play and not carry the virus anymore, but you're not 100%, cardio wise. So I worry about playing in fantasy purposes, Aaron Rodgers this week.
Yeah, I think it could go both ways. Honestly, I could see a flop game like that, or I could see him just absolutely wanting to come out and silence the haters, but just he's been getting a lot of noise. I guess not much haters, but definitely silence the noise. So yeah.
All right, let's build your lineup now.
Okay. Yep, let's do it. I'm gonna start with my favorite stack here with Justin Herbert at my quarterback. And then I'll just kind of go down the line after that. So, I like Herbert quite a bit. I will go with Najee Harris for my running back. I've heard a lot of talk from the winner of these contests recently on Twitter, if you know who that person is. So I'm really trying to get safe this week, and I think Najee Harris is a safe pick.
I won last week with Jordan Love stacked in my lineup. Just that's how good I am getting right now at this.
Man. Again, this is the first week I didn't spend as much time on it because I just overthink it sometimes, and it's so early out that there's just hard to find good info. But so Najee Harris, I'll go with Dearness Johnson. I'm just gonna kind of gamble there. I do think he'll be the guy.
And even if Chubb plays, he's still gonna get some carries.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Next, I've been debating between two 6,800 receivers, DK Metcalf or Deontay Johnson. I'm going to go with Deontay Johnson. Even though I already have Najee Harris in my lineup, I just think the Lions are so bad, and those are going to be the two guys if Chase Claypool is out. So that's definitely going to be those two for me. Mike Williams is going to be my run back with Justin Herbert. And then I'm going to stick with Michael Gallup there for my wide receiver there, my third guy.
He's on my bench in the DSM redraft league, and I'm trying to figure out what to do if Godwin doesn't play. I've Godwin in my flex. My options are Williams from Kansas City running back or Gallup in that flex spot. It's a tough call, because you and now Jason are both trying to sell me on Michael Gallup a lot right now.
Yeah, again, it's just more of a price thing for me, I guess. And if he's totally fine to go, we'll see. So, I like Dan Arnold then for my tight end. I think he's going to be the chalk spot, but don't worry about that too much here. And then I think I have Patterson as my flex.
Excellent pick at the flex, and it gives you 2,600 to pick your defense with.
Perfect. And I'm going to go with the Titans going up against, I believe, Taysom Hill Simeon. I mean,
no, Simeon is starting, but Hill is available now. So
okay. Gotcha. Yeah, so we'll see. So,
I think that's actually a really strong lineup. I deleted it too quickly there before I could break it down, but I took a picture of it so I could talk about it. I just think that your safe plays in this kind of a three-way battle. It's the Herbert, Harris, Johnson, or Harris, Deontay Johnson from Pittsburgh, Williams, Arnold, Patterson. Those plays right there. I mean, that's just 1, 2. There's like 4 or 5 slam dunk plays right there for sure.
Yeah. Thanks. Man, so they should have safe
I'm going to be really hard about this line because I didn't do any prep on this lineup here.
Oh, we'll see.
Really hard here.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
All right. Let's see what I could do here. We're obviously going to go with my favorite play of the week. We're going to go with the Carson Wentz stack here. Wentz, Pittman, and Taylor. Again, 3-way. I don't have to worry about ownership percentages or anything like that. Takes up a lot of money though. So I'm going to go back with Chenault, like I said. Saves me a little bit of money there. Again, I'm not like you guys. I don't have anything prepared. I'm trying to figure this out on the fly. So I go right to my defense next. So I got to find a good value defense here. I don't want to go Vikings because that totally counteracts if Herbert goes off for you. Man, that's a killer right there. Man, if I knew for sure Kyler Murray wasn't playing, I would have no problem taking the Panthers. But no, I'm gonna have to go with Seattle going against Green Bay. Sorry, just too many question marks with that team right now. So I'm gonna go there.
If Love plays, if Jordan Love plays, that is the smash defense. I think even
absolutely
it's the Seahawks.
Yeah, no. All right, we're gonna come back with Tyler Conklin from that Minnesota Chargers games that you like. All right, now I got 6,400. Now I can build the rest of my team. I'm going to go with Austin Eckler as my running back. Oops, wrong letter there. Right, there we go. Austin Eckler. That gives me 5,800. I'm going to pull from my wide receiver cheap lineups here. I'm going to go. I wonder what if I put in Johnson here from Tampa Bay, what does that do? Where is he? He is way down here. What does that leave me with my flex spot? 8,300, and I could get Dalvin Cook in there. So I get my Cook Eckler play that I want in this lineup. With my favorite stack of the week. Yeah, this right here is why I love this stack right now.
Yeah, that looks good. I like it a lot.
What would be my weakest spot in this lineup right here, in your opinion?
Easy to say, like the cheap guys, of course. Just having to really bank on those. Trying to find, what are the. I mean, I guess maybe Dalvin Cook will be the guy that maybe slips through. Of the more expensive guys, but I think it looks good. I do like Carson Wentz. Yeah, it looks good.
No, awesome. I love it. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. So just so everybody watching knows, we do this joint contest, myself, Jason, and whoever we're playing against every single week. And I am now 3 weeks in a row champion of the world for the last 5 weeks. I'm the reigning, defending, undisputed champion right now. I've almost got as long as a championship reign as Hulkamania through the 80s and 90s there. That's how unstoppable I'm the Goldberg of early WCW right now in this thing. That's how good. And I keep talking trash, hoping someone beats me. I keep talking trash in the DSM redraft league, and nobody can beat me. I don't know why. I got 4 guys, 3 starters on IR, and everyone keeps losing to me. I just don't get it. I'm just that good. This is the part of the show where my head explodes a little bit.
This is clearly the week where you don't hit 100 points total and you are third.
So I barely hit 100 points last week because I had Jordan Love and I still won. That's how bad Jason and Braden, our guests last week, that's how bad they are. I think I had 101 points, and that was because of the late touchdown in the Packers game. Put me over 100 points. My lineups, all the lineups, were straight trash last week. All our stacks last week, period, were just awful. But I still ended up making money, which is good. So because beating you guys makes me money. So
hey, that's all right. That's all right.
All right. Do you have any other plays or games that we haven't got a chance to talk about?
I don't.
Before we wrap it up,
the notes here. No, I don't think so. I think we hit on all of them. Really, my favorite plays are probably the highest total. That doesn't, surprise anybody. So we'll just we kind of talked about it. I think the main thing this week is monitoring injury news and really being flexible with your lineup all the way up until lock because lots of things can change up until then.
A lot, and you just never know what happens in football. Like right now, you got the Ravens-Dolphins going on tonight. Do you realize it's halftime? And that's got the Buffalo-Jacksonville game from last week written all over it. It's Dolphins 6, Ravens 3. Who called that one? So that's actually – I had one other game written down here, and I will bring it up. Buffalo. Do they rebound after last week's game and just blow out the Jets this week?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely. A team that they – I guess, no, Jacksonville's not a team that they play too often, but the Jets are a team that they know. I don't know if they played them already this year, but I think those good teams, they just not that they needed a loss like that, but you get one of those losses, you go back the next week, you work your ass off, and you go back to being a dominant team again. So we'll see. I mean, it's the Jets. So
I wrote down it as a potential stack option, but again, there's too many question marks. I like Allen with you don't have to go Diggs, you can go down to Emmanuel Sanders. But then there's question marks with Dawson Knox, who I like. But, Singletary, if Zach Moss doesn't play, I like.
Yeah.
So it's a game that I can look at potentially, but it's another game where you have to wait till the end of all the injury news coming out to make the play. But you can build a cheap stack and have 5,400 left in that game. You go Allen, Singletary, Sanders, and Knox. You got a lot. You got almost 5,500 left. So I mean, it's a game I'll monitor. But again, if I'm building 7 or 8 lineups this week, it's going to be all Wentz. It's going to be all Herbert. It's going to be from those 2 games mostly.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I'm glad we agree on the Chargers there. So, and especially
again, like I said, I just was trying to bring up that theory of playing running backs from both teams with the quarterback there as an option. So, it's an unorthodox style. But again, in fantasy, sometimes unorthodox, or as people say, being contrarian, sometimes that's the way you win and set yourself apart from other people.
Yeah. Especially in these high total games. So I like choosing the guy that's little overlooked, I guess. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Hunter, for coming on tonight. This has been a blast as always.
For sure. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys and the team at DSM. So
yeah, hey, we're rocking. We're taking over DSM. This is DFS, no pun intended, on DSM Media. I did not mess it up this week, so it's very hard to say DFS followed by DSM and not confuse the two. It really is, but no pun intended, on DSM Media every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Make sure you click subscribe. Make sure you click follow, retweet, turn notifications on. You don't want to miss it. We've got 15 regular shows a week, 7 days a week. We're growing the team at DSM Media. We're taking over. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. We've got the head coach of the Wyoming Mustangs, the Champion Indoor Football League. His name is Coach Michael Coleman. This guy has been coaching since 1994 in the college ranks and higher. He's worked all over the world coaching. And I called him yesterday for 5 minutes just to get him set up for the interview, just to introduce myself. And that 5-minute phone call lasted over 30 minutes because this guy is a talker and he loves to talk football. So I told him we got 20 to 30 minutes. I'm expecting the interview tomorrow morning to go about 3 hours. I'm not really sure how that's going to go or happen, but he's really excited. So make sure you guys all tune in tomorrow morning. We're also going to recap, Sixers dropping to the Raptors tonight. And we got Jason Voorhees coming on to talk about the past week for the Flyers and hockey in general. So make sure you're tapped into DSM Media and make sure you support our sponsors, Manscaped. 20% off and free shipping with promo code DFS. You got to type that in and check out. Again, the top of the line male grooming and male gear on their website. Again, holidays are coming up. Make sure you get your loved one something from manscaped.com and use our promo code DFS at checkout. 20% off is a great deal, and the free shipping helps a lot at this time of the year. So make sure you check them out. Yo, what's up, Scotty? You're checking in a little late. I didn't get to, brag about my big victory over you in the DSM league last week. Those 18 wide receivers you drafted really helped you this week. Sorry. I love to brag and I love to talk trash. It's all in good fun and good nature. So make sure that I'm the trash talker at DSM. That's just what I do. Everybody, have a great night. Hunter, again, at Huntman10 on Twitter, 10 spelled out, TEN. Make sure you follow him as well. Great things coming. Everybody have a great night. We'll talk to you next week, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow morning. And I say go Birds, you say go Pack, whatever it is. It don't matter. Let's just cash and all win GPPs this week, right?
It'd be nice, and get all of our football wins.
Let's just all win, except for the DSM league or the DFS thing here, where I have to.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Have a good night. Thanks a lot. We'll see you.